Hello there, this is Bick Benedict. We're playing Alan Wake on the PC on the hardest difficulty, which is entitled Nightmare Difficulty, and this is episode 1.3. So, the first thing I wanted to address on this was how I will be notating the episode number and name in the title. It will be something like this. Take this chapter for instance. It will say episode 1.3 in the title, and then in quotation marks it will say the name of the episode, of which there are six, colon, and then the name of the sub episode. So to give you an example, this title will say episode 1.3 Nightmare, Waking Up to a Nightmare. It's a little redundant, I know, but it's going to help people find these videos. So I wanted to just assure people that I am stepping up my game on my channel. In fact, I've done another marathon session where I've pumped out a lot of content. It might not seem like that with the uploads. That's just because I parcel them out in a different manner than I work on them. But if you're worried that, the guide might be canceled, a guide is only ever canceled if I can't physically do it somehow. Like, take The Legend of Korra. I was going to do an extreme guide for that, but then I remembered that there was that on-rails section where you're supposed to be killing 3 of these mech robots, and you only get zero. You get 0 mistakes, man. 0 mistakes. They ruined that fucking game, but I don't want to get into that because it's just going to make me upset, as you can probably hear in my voice, which might sound nasally and tired, just because I am. I haven't slept yet. Like I said, I'm stepping up my game, and I want to help you guys in the best way possible. So we're trying to get ultimately to the gas station, you guys, because once we get there, we will phone for help to the police station, and then get taken to the police station. There's one section back at the house, at his house in New York, I think it is where it is, that I trimmed out just because I couldn't find any place to put it in either this video or the next video. So it's just exposition, and it's not going to, waylay any plans you have of beating this difficulty, which let's be pretty brutally honest here. It's very difficult. I mean, there's a fight with a tractor, one of these tractors later, that I remember, like, I could barely beat it on normal. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to work, but normally these games are designed with being beaten in mind. So, whether now that also goes for Vanquish Vanquish with God Hard difficulty. That game was designed to be beaten too, but only a psychotic can beat that game. Only a true masochist knows how to beat a game like that. And I'm not disparaging anybody who can beat it. I'm just saying that if you beat it, you are very, 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 very good. Anyway, so I didn't mean to say that so many goddamn times, but anyway, when I first played this game, I really had no idea. Like, I didn't even know how it was operating, and the thing is, I wasn't paying attention. So I will tell you that in a second. But it's nice to come over here and get this flare gun. One of the best tools you can get in the game. But every enemy in this game has to be shown the flashlight on to melt away the darkness. And see, you can also use this floodlight here to do the same thing that the flashlight does. And I should have done it, and I'm not sure why I did it. I was going to do it over again, but it put me at a checkpoint, and I didn't want to start the entire chapter over again. Excuse me. Gosh. But anyway, like I said, I wasn't paying attention, and that's usually how it is with me. I think I was just because I was playing Ninja Gaiden 1 in tandem with this game. Anyway, one guy over here for you to take care of. And there's been a couple parts so far in this guide where I've either run out of batteries or ammunition. And the thing about the enemies is that they do not drop ammunition. So, this is not like your Uncharted's. But it is kind of annoying how they position the character to the right every time. Anyway, and we're heading down here, and you do have a waypoint in this game, which is really nice. Do you see that circle within the circle on top where the health gauge is? And there is also stamina in this game, which is quite annoying. So that means that when you're sprinting, there is a point at which he stops because he can't go as fast as one would if one had unlimited stamina. Sort of like The Evil Within, if you've played that game. And definitely not like Resident Evil 4, which has unlimited stamina. Unless you're damaged, I should say. But we've reached the gas station. Oh, I'm sorry. We are trying to reach the gas station, and here are chuckers of things. In this game, the bane of it is that people throw stuff constantly. If they have something to throw at you, they will. And they have many things to throw at you. There is the cinematic evasion right there. You can get a cinematic evasion off of a melee attack or off of a thrown object. And it doesn't really do that much. To be brutally honest about it, you guys, it's not as though you're put into a bullet time where you're instantly facing the enemy and you can fire off rounds into them, you know, sort of like in Vanquish. Well, it's not really like that either. It's Vanquish, you could put yourself in that position anytime you wanted to with manual AR. I'm trying to think what game. Oh, Tomb Raider does that. Tomb Raider, the new Tomb Raider, not the newest one, but the 2013 reboot. That put you into that mode. Here's an optional room with some batteries and things like that, some lithium batteries. So you might wonder, like, what does the cinematic evade do in the first place? It really just buys you time. That's the only thing that I believe that it does. It buys you a little time, and you can move on, and it gives you a moment of clarity and to think, you know, what's my next move going to be? Things like that. So what our next move has to be is to come over to here where the generator is. You'll be doing this quite a lot, and I'm actually, when I said in the first video that I found this game boring, I think it was just because I had so many other high-octane games to play, like, you know, Devil May Cry 4, Max Payne 3, things like that that are really action-packed, high-octane, thrilling and addictive, and this game is more of it's a marriage of horror elements with narrative, and it's not really a game that gets you pumped up so much as those other titles that I mentioned, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I still do think that this game, like, when I think of it being boring, it's mostly sometimes the narrative drags on a little bit, and it's a little bit heavy-handed, things like that, and it's confusing as hell too, you know. But maybe it's not to you. So anyway, we took care of that trio of enemies. Now we're gonna head on in here and get a shotgun. And the reception to this guide has been really good. I never know, you know, who's gonna come out of the woodwork for what, who's gonna like what, and usually what I find is the more mainstream things that I do, like Dead Space or like this game, or let's see, what else was it? Like Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, that went over pretty well with people. Just the more mainstream, the better. And that's kind of a shame because that means I can't play some of the more eclectic things and get the kind of views that I want. But let's face it, this channel has never been about views. And if it stays the same, it will never be about views. It's just about publishing games on the hardest difficulty, finding the ones that I can physically do, because some I just cannot do, and I think that there's a nice humility to that. And I also think that sometimes it might also come off as, you know, this dude is giving up. And take Devil May Cry 4, for instance. I have not given up on that game. I have been on chapter 17 for a week now. A week and a day trying to finish that chapter. Because I know that if I can finish that chapter, then I can have fun for the rest of the game playing as Nero. Because I know that there's only one more Dante chapter afterwards, and it's not hard, and Dante is just not fun to play as. I don't enjoy playing as him. I like Nero. I like Nero's throw. Anyway, let's talk about the game here. We are in the woods, so if you're getting lost, make sure you put that circle within the circle at the top, and that will tell you the way to go. There are a couple fights coming up. We're going to disregard that thermos. There are usually fights, like when you're in these woods and you're going from point A to point B. I saw some pop-in right there. I have the draw distance all the way up, you guys. The graphics are at the absolute highest. Checkpoint right here, by the way. Field of view is up all the way. Draw distance is all the way up. Anyway, so there's going to be, let's see, I believe 2 or 3 enemies up here. Yeah, I am trying. There they are. Enemies are going to be at different locations depending on where you're located and where you're facing. So you might have noticed that I was a little hesitant coming up here because I knew I was going to pass over a tripwire point. And normally these guys were not at the left, they were at the right. But because I was more to the left and I was facing where I thought that the enemies were going to come from, they came from a different spot. And I know it's really hard to understand something like that when someone explains it, but it's just video games all over. That's how it works. You know, when you're looking at a location, the enemies don't come because it's either trying to surprise you or it's either trying to buffer the enemy's existence into the game world at somewhere where you're not looking, so it's a little less demanding on the game. It's really hard to explain, but I've been playing video games my entire life, and that's just something that I've grown up with. So, another guy over here. 2 guys. And the really bad thing about this game as well is when you know you're crossing tripwire points as well, sometimes the enemies spawn directly behind you. And one of the main tips that you can do for these enemies is just to flee when you're fighting with them. It doesn't mean you have to flee from them totally, because sometimes you just cannot. You know, there won't be a light source close enough to where you are. So you're going to have to just keep backtracking, but there's plenty of space in the world to keep backtracking. But anyway, with that enemy down, we're going to keep heading towards the gas station. There's the Claw of Doom up there. And I think we're going to have another set coming up. We're running out of stamina, but we just need to slow down a little bit and regain it. Another claw right there. This really is a creative game. More guys coming. 3 guys. 3 guys. And we're going to try to flee from these guys. So this is how you flee from them. You just run away. Run into the building. They're not going to chase you, especially if there's light inside. And I switched on the TV because I thought it was maybe something else with that B button indicator, but see, when you come back out, you would expect them to kind of be outside waiting for you, but they're not, which is nice. I like that a lot. But that has been the end of the chapter, you guys. I believe we're almost getting to the conclusion of the chapter. We're almost at that gas station area. If not, then maybe one more fight. In fact, I know there is one more fight because at least one more fight because I remember this particular part as being rather ominous. So this guy up here, he's not much of a priority because he's on those logs up there. But one of the things you'll notice when you're dealing with these enemies, by the way, you also want to be aiming at their heads when you're trying to melt the darkness from them, because that will melt it faster. And there's also a pseudo kill indicator in this game, which is not necessarily a kill indicator. It's more of an indicator just to, well, it's precisely an indicator to tell you that you have melted all of the darkness off. That flare right there that you can see, and it's also given an audio cue. So it is really nice to know, you know, the exact moment when you've taken it off, and then you can switch from using the flashlight to the shotgun or the handgun, whatever you're wielding at the time. And there's also an effect when they get killed. So when I first started to play this game, I immediately noticed that, and you know, it's kind of an angelic burst from both sides of them. It kind of looks like angels' wings if you look at it closely. I'm not sure if that was their intention, but it kind of looks like that to me. Right? Nah, he didn't do it. Oh, we've got a boss here. I think this is Stooky or Stucky, whatever his name is. I don't know who this guy is. I think he might be the gas station owner. So he's actually a boss fight, sort of. That's why he's going to take a lot of HP to take down. He's coming at us with a fucking axe. So we're going to put bullets into his head as much as possible. And then we are going to go into his gas station, which he obviously doesn't want us to go into. And I hope that's the owner of the gas station, because if it's not, then I'll sound kind of stupid. But I believe that is. I think it said Stooky's gas station, or Stucky, like I said. Stucky's body vanished. Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm not too familiar with Remedy games, to be honest. I think they made the Max Paynes, to be honest, didn't they? And then they gave Rockstar the permission to use for Max Payne 3. Yeah, I'm almost certain of that. So I'm not really. I really enjoy this game, but I don't know too many Remedy games that I may even have played, if I've played any of them at all. So there is the gas station up there. And we're going to be, like I said, just going to use the phone, phoning the police, and then the next chapter will be in the police station. So you can look around if you like. I don't think there's much to look at, but you never know. There might be some things to pick up. Certainly, probably collectibles, maybe the television to watch. And there's the phone right there by the cash register, so use the phone, and I will see you in the next chapter. Take care.